Welcome, everybody. This is, while we wait for our good friend Chris Grant to join us, this is part 2 of our 6-part series, which we're calling the Passport to Production. Different times call for different plans, and the entire strategy behind this today and the 6-part series that we're rolling out here was to give agents that are on our team a blueprint for how they could get into massive production really quickly. And all of that required us to do was just basically to open up our playbook that we run here on the Miale team and make it available for anybody who is interested. So we figured rather than just do it ourselves, we'd make that available for other people. Chris, you're still not on a video. So how about this? How about I take you and make you the host?
All right.
And then you ought to be able to turn on your own camera. Hey,
yeah, I can. Yeah, now I can.
How about it, buddy? Woo. Talk about problem solving. So Chris, the first thing that we need to talk about today before we get rolling, first of all, those of you guys that are joining us, the topic for today is lead generation without cold calling. This is really, really important because what I know, having been in the business as long as I've been in the business, is that a lot of agents love to sell homes, love to service their clients, love to do a great job. But you know what they never want to be, Chris? You know what they always say? Hey, I don't want to be, what do they say? I don't want to be what?
I don't want to be sales guy.
Salesy. They say they never want to be salesy, which is so crazy to me because you are in a real estate sales business. But I know what they mean when they say that. What they mean is that they don't want to come off insincere. They don't want to come off with a lack of authenticity. They don't want to appear to be disingenuous. And so one of the things that a lot of people do is because they're afraid of showing up that way, they actually disengage from the process entirely. And I get that, but that doesn't help you in the long run get to your personal goals around selling homes. And so my whole business, everything in my business was designed around a couple of really simple things that we did, but we did them really, really well. And the first thing that we're going to promise to do today, even though this might sound like it's out of left field, how could you run a big business without cold calling? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's the key. Okay. That's everything that you're going to hear today. These are real things that we do that will 100% drive business. None of this is that BS stuff that you get, when you go on YouTube videos and they say you can sell 700 homes simply by making Facebook Reels. That's not true. It takes a lot more than that. And we're going to give you stuff that you can literally go do tomorrow. This is real tactical stuff that you can do. Today is January 26th. If you decide to take some notes here today, on January 27th, you can start on the path to having a super fulfilling, really, really productive business by just taking some notes today and doing the things that we talk about. So that's the first thing. We're going to tell the truth. We're going to lead with also conceptually a couple of truth bombs that we need to drop. First truth bomb. Get ready, everybody. This is important.
Here they come.
This is the most important thing that everybody who's a real estate agent out there really needs to hear. And you need to hear this because you've been told otherwise, and it's a huge myth in the business. You've been told otherwise, and you need to just get it out of your head. You've been told that this job is hard. Not true. Not true. The job, the job, the big secret that everybody's looking for is that the job of a real estate agent is to make new friends. That's the job part of your job. Yes, we have to service our clients, and yes, we have to do an amazing job. But the thing that you wake up every day with absolute clarity about, the thing that is super critical to you having an amazing, amazing business is whether or not you do the thing that your parents told you to do when you walked in the first doors of your first elementary school when you were in kindergarten. And they said, hey, little Johnny, we want you to go make new friends. Because if you focus on making new friends, you're going to have an amazing, abundant life. Now, here's the key. We're not talking about those inauthentic things you call friends in social media. Those aren't really friends. I mean the real thing. I mean the real deal. I want you to go make new friends. I want you to go build relationships with people where you give more value than you ever get every day. Because if you do that, this thing becomes super, super simple. Now, the crazy part is people go, well, Matt, that sounds easy. You know, I can make new friends, but how do I do it? Well, here's how you do it. You use a skill that everybody on this call probably has. You use a skill that you learned when you were about 2 years old. You talk to people. You communicate. You learned how to talk. And talking is the skill required to be a super productive, highly effective real estate agent. You have to decide every morning when you wake up that you are going to deploy your effort toward making new friends by providing a ton of value to those people that you meet. And you're going to do it by talking to them. You can't do it by texting them. You can't do it by putting up social media posts. You can't do it any other way. You've got to talk to them. Again, I know that there's going to be some people out there that say, well, Matt, but I got a deal off of social media. Yes, I'm sure you did. But did you build the relationship through social media? Or did you build the relationship by talking to that person and providing them a ton of value? So that's truth bomb number one. Job is easy. Go make new friends and talk to people. Truth bomb number two. The reason that you think it's hard, the reason that the industry has told us it's hard, is because we aren't confident in the value we provide. And that is where we start to create complexity. And we create complexity, which actually demeans the value that we provide to our friends. And that complexity comes in the form of all kinds of stuff: technology, systems on top of systems, very complicated ways of communicating with people. The reality is that if you talk to your friends and communicate to them, and you are a subject matter expert on real estate, which means you know the market, you know the inventory, you know what's going on, and you know how to counsel them through their challenges, guess what? It's not that complicated, because they're going to call you and say, hey, I have a problem. And you're going to say, I think I have a way to help you with that. It's not complicated. So you have to, truth bomb number two, get super comfortable with the value you provide. Get super comfortable with the fact that you are a subject matter expert. And if you're not, and you're not comfortable with it, get busy learning it. Get busy studying the market. Get busy engaging with the market. Get busy learning from people who are subject matter experts. Get busy reading articles about what's happening in the market. Make sure you know how to explain it to people. That's truth bomb number two. Truth bomb number three. This is the big one. If you are living in a world where you think that your business is transactional, and you also say, I don't want to be salesy, they cannot coexist. The entire business relies on relationship building. The entire business relies on authenticity. And the entire business relies on you making it about the client and the customer and your friends. So if you're sitting worried about, if you came here today and said, boy, I need a deal, and I'm going to go listen to Matt tell me how to go get a deal, it's going to be tough, because I'm going to tell you how to go get a relationship. I'm going to teach you how to build relationships that last for life. We're going to talk to you today about ways that you can embed yourself in your community, in your relationships, in a way that will feed your business and feed your people that you provide value to over and over again. So Chris, what do you think? We ready to get going?
Yeah, man. You know, there's one thing that you said right out of the gate is that that we're in this business of being with people, and the idea is like, and you tell us this all the time, is that we're in the business of communicating with other humans. That's why we get up out of bed every day.
What we do,
and the way that we approach it is how we get to the reward. Like this whole idea of planting seeds to production. You have to go back in order to produce. You have to go plant. And when we wake up every day, is what are we going out to plant? What seeds are we looking to plant? And we looking to harvest at the end of it. And so you said a couple of things that were really good about the truths. And you asked, how are we showing up? And I just wrote this note down. I don't know if it was Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar. He said, are you trying to be interesting, or are you working on being interested? And if you work on being interested in other people, you never have to be salesy. You just have to learn how to ask great questions.
That's the truth. That's another truth bomb right there. So here's one other thing, Chris, that we talk about, right? A lot of people that maybe are on this webinar right now and paying attention and saying, yeah, okay, this all sounds great. I've heard this before, but I need a deal right now. When we talk about how to solve all problems in real estate, what's the cure for all real estate problems, Chris? What do we talk? We say there's one cure that solves them all. What is that one cure?
You get more deals.
Yeah, it's called a full pipeline. Yeah, it's called a full pipeline. When you're in business and you don't have a full pipeline of people that you're serving, it starts to feel really stressful. And that's when you start doing things that don't really line up with your authenticity, that don't really line up with your integrity. That's when people start looking for transactions instead of relationships. And here's the thing, if you find yourself sitting right now in that position where you're like, I need a deal, it's okay. We've all been there, myself included. And that's the truth. You do need a deal. You're going to have to hunt. But what you need to also do is wake up every day with intention and do a couple of the things that we're going to teach you today. You have to engage the world in a meaningful way and build relationships, because that is how you will never be in this empty pipeline situation ever again. So the first one, I'm going to call this one play softball. Here's why we call tactic number one, play softball. I joined a softball team. It was in 2011, I believe. We're on our 12th season. Obviously, with my athletic prowess, I was in high demand. People said, man, that guy is probably a killer. They didn't realize that I was pretty mediocre at playing softball. However, I'm actually a pretty fun guy to be in a dugout with. And I definitely enjoyed having a couple beers after the game and hanging out with my friends. And over the past 11, 12 years, some of those guys that I play softball with have become my closest friends. Now, the crazy part about playing softball is that I actually did not join or agree to play in that softball team that had anything to do with real estate. It was not by that design at all. It was literally, I just need to go do something that'll be fun. But, to date, 11 years later, we've closed 63 transactions from people that are on that softball team that have bought or sold a home, or referrals that have come from those people. Now, I promise you that I've never, ever shown up to a softball team, to a softball game, and we play 20 times a year. I've never once shown up with an agenda related to real estate. In fact, the last thing I want to do when I go hang out with my friends to play softball is talk about business. But what everybody there sees and knows is that I'm a hardworking guy, and they get to know the true, real, authentic person that I am. And I never miss a game. I never, ever miss a game, which is just part of my personality. And that comes through, so that when on one given, Tuesday afternoon, when we're playing a game, one of the guys says to me, hey, I need to pick your brain about something. We're thinking about buying or selling a house. Well, that's no problem, man. Let's catch up tomorrow after the game and let's talk about it. See, this is the thing. Those relationships got deeper. We have other people on our team that follow this exact model. Here's the key. It's not about softball. It's not about any of those things. It's about, where do you show up in your adult life as somebody that brings value to other people, and they all know that you're a real estate agent, period. Full stop. So one of our top producing agents, a partner on our team, her name's Rebecca Makis. If Rebecca's watching, shout out to Rebecca. Rebecca is on the board of directors for, it's literally called the Quilting Guild. Now, the Quilting Guild is exactly what it sounds like. It's quilting. It's a group of people that are really into quilting. Here's what I want to tell you. Who knew there was a Quilting Guild? Who knew? But Rebecca gets every piece of business coming out of the Quilting Guild. For the state of Connecticut, she even gets on airplanes and flies to quilting conventions. And when she's there, you know what? She runs into people who also have real estate needs. So here's the thing. Rebecca doesn't go to the Quilt Guild meetings with her business cards. She's not showing up there saying, "Hey, everybody, before we leave today and wrap up and put our sewing machines away." I'm not sure what they do at the Quilt Guild, but she's not leaving there saying, "Y'all need to send me business." It just becomes the obvious part of her life. Now, here's what's cool about all this. If you get to do things in this business that you love, whether that's volunteering, participating in the Quilt Guild, or playing softball, and all of those things help you deepen relationships with people, but you show up consistently and business comes to you through those things, how much better does your life feel every day when you wake up? How much better and how much more value can you provide when you're not always hunting for who's the person that I need to talk to right now that's going to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? A totally different way of approaching it. And I've never cold called anyone on my softball team, not once. Here's another one. I'd like to draw attention to one of our other team members. His name is Dave Pylon. Dave has a monster business. And, one of the things that Dave committed to a couple of years ago is Dave said, I'm going to get back into running. He'd been a runner his whole life. And he decided he had taken some years off and he said, I want to jump back into this. I want to get good at it. And I said, that's awesome. You should join a running club. And he was like, in fact, I already did. I joined a running club here in town. And, all Dave does when he joins the running club is he shows up to the meetings and he goes and runs. But here's the thing, Dave loves to run. I don't like to run. So for me to join a running club, that's going to feel a little inauthentic, right? I make a lot of sense in a softball dugout. I don't make a lot of sense in a running club. So the key to this is lining yourself up with things that make sense for you, because the people that are there are like you. They like the same things. So whether that's a board game club or a bowling league or playing softball or a Quilt Guild or a running club, you find things that matter to you, that are important to you, that you enjoy doing, and your entire real estate career will make itself happen for you. You don't have to put the effort in that many of you are grinding against. So, Chris, what do you think?
When you say, Matt, too, like when you're showing up and you're enjoying something, you're just overall more authentic. I love how you use that word.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't show up to a quilting guild because number one, no one would end up with a quilt, period. Or running,
You'd feel a little inauthentic.
I like running to the mailbox or to the car. That's it. So, but when you show up there, you're more authentic. And then when you're more authentic, you're probably more happy. And when you're more happy, people want to know more about you because you're interested in them at the same time.
It's actually, it really sounds so, I know, again, and this goes back to truth bomb number 3, guys. Stop over complicating this. Today, right now, you know what you enjoy doing. And maybe you've taken some years off. Maybe your life has gotten stressful and you haven't given yourself permission to go and do something that's important to you or that you enjoy. Stop that noise. Get out in the world. Go join a club. Go get around other people that enjoy the same things as you. Your business will benefit. Go do that. Do you like golf? Go golf. It's okay. We create this complexity. Oh, I can't do it. Now, here's the thing. You do have to bring some intentionality to these things, right? Yes, if you like golf, but you golf with the same 3 guys over and over again every Sunday and say, hey, Matt Miale told me that if I golf every day, that I'll sell 100 houses. That is not intentional relationship building. That's just a different form of hiding behind the people that already know you. You've got to really design it. So, and that feeds into this idea of bringing authenticity to the world and deepening the relationships. This can look like a lot of things, but I promise that if you decide today to pick something that you love, you could be in it could be a CrossFit gym where there's a community. It could be any community. It could be an outdoor hiking club. Pick something and commit. And I'm not saying go to a meeting, commit. Go to a year's worth of meetings and watch what happens. So
the other thing I want to mention too, Matt, because this is like, as you're saying this, I see myself in different events or clubs that I'm part of or activities is, again, you got to check showing up to portray who you are. Like you don't go in to tell all your story. You'll get to that. And I remember this happening when I would go meet people. They're like, man, you ask a lot of questions, right? Let me find out about you, because I really, truly, genuinely want to know who they are. So if you're at the softball, you go there with the intentionality of like, hey, I'm going to deepen my relationship with people. I'm going to find out, when did you get married? I found out this from Corey on our team doing script practice. I'm like, hey, we were in the middle of script practice, and I said, like, when's your anniversary? She goes, oh, it's actually today. And it was real. Like, and then I found out, well, where did you meet Jeff? And she said, I met him at the gym. So like, just that being interested and more curious about people will open them up to feel more comfortable and more trusting in you. And when you do that, you don't have to go look for the business.
That's right. You started it off with, you have to show up authentic. So this is, I'm going to really start with this. Everybody here, write it down. Task number 1, join a club. Join a club that you love, that's important to you. Go join and commit to a year of making new friends. So task number 2, we're going to call this one, call me for a plumber. Call me for a plumber. Call me for a vendor. Call me for a divorce attorney. Call me for anything that you need, because I am the source of everything you need, not just around your home, but around our community. Now, here's how this one looks, and this is really important. Cold calling is calling a bunch of strangers, right? One of the things that real estate agents have is we have this super unique position in our community and in the relationships with people as a guardian of information. We have lots and lots of data points. We have lots of relationships. The better you get at building relationships, not just with your sphere and database and the people, but also with people who also serve those people, the more value you bring to the table in the relationships. And so when I had a client call me, client/friend, and say, Matt, this is going to sound crazy, but we're thinking about getting a hot tub. What do you think about a hot tub? And I was like, this is a different one, but I can handle this. And I said, well, I've never met anybody who has a hot tub who hates having a hot tub. And he was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a really good idea. We're going to do it. And I was like, awesome. Because just so you know, it doesn't add any value to your home. And he was like, no, I know. I just wanted your opinion, because I want to be at the center of all those conversations. So your job, part 2, is how many people do you know in your community that provide value to the same people that you provide value to? And are you, once again, intentional about building those relationships? Have you made an effort as a real estate agent to meet a plumber? Have you made an effort to meet an electrician? Not just, hey, I'm going to call somebody because my client has a GFCI outlet that needs to be replaced. No, that's transactional. That's not relationship building. Have you made an effort to call an electrician and say, tell me about your business. What kind of business do you like to do? And is there some way that I could support you? Have you made an effort to get into relationships with accountants and bookkeepers and other people who provide value? The key to your business succeeding is more relationships, and then those relationships that you have with people that can provide value to the people that you serve, the deeper your relationships will be, and the more people will think of you when they think of anything. But once again, you got to bring intentionality to it. So let's talk about some really simple ways to make this happen. One of my all-time favorite dialogues that we use on our team all the time. And I encourage it constantly, because really this tactic was probably one of my top tactics. What I like to do is I like to reach out to my former clients, friends, and family. And I like to ask them if they've had any work done to their home. And I just like to ask, hey, have you had any work done to your home recently? But only if you were really happy with the person. Did you hire anybody to get anything done? And did they do a great job for you? Now, Chris, if I were to call you and you were a client and I asked you that question, how would you respond?
I would respond very openly and ready to answer.
Right, because it's a super simple thing, and it's
super simple,
like real friendly, right? Like I'm not calling asking for any. I'm just like, hey man, Did you have you had any work done at your house? Did anybody do a great job? And you say, yeah, as a matter of fact, we just had our gutters cleaned. This guy was amazing. He said he'd be there at 7. He showed up at 6:55, got the equipment ready. They were up on the ladder. They were out by 8:30. My gutters are perfectly clean. And can you believe it? They didn't just leave a pile of leaves. They blew everything, bagged it, and left it on the side. Who does that? Like, wow, I would love to have that guy's name, because I only like to work with the best. And since I only like to work with the best, I want to make sure that when I refer my clients to somebody because they need to get their gutters cleaned, that I have the best in the business. So do you think that that guy would be okay if I put him on my preferred vendor list? Well, sure. He'd be super psyched about that. Awesome. Would you mind connecting me with him? See how we just deepened a relationship? How easy is that call? So we call this call me for a plumber, right? So you're going to join a club, number one. Number two, you're going to go find a bunch of people that do a great job for people around your town, and you're going to deepen relationships with them. You're going to make sure that they know that you're the preferred realtor in town, that you're the preferred vendor, that you're the preferred referral source for all your clients, that your clients call you for everything, and that you want to make sure when they call for their gutters to get cleaned, that it's okay that you send them to that person. So you're going to be at the center of all those conversations. Now, here's a couple other things. This is fast track to creating really powerful business to business relationships. One is you got to get into your chamber of commerce. Now, a lot of agents do this. A lot of agents are like chamber of commerce, and then they all come back and they tell the same story. It doesn't work. It's just a bunch of old fogies standing around. That's because you're not doing it right. Again, you got to own this. If you're going to a chamber of commerce event, your job is to make friends. You got to make friends. You got to provide value. If you go there with a stack of business cards in your hand and you think your job is to hand out business cards, that magically, because you gifted somebody with your glamour shot, right, on your business card, that they're going to magically decide to call you, you missed the point. You got to work these environments with absolute intention to deepen the relationship. So call me for a plumber.
I want to share, Matt, if I could, like on the chamber. I remember this was going back to 2006. I remember hearing about the chamber, and I went down, I paid them $150, and I got a sticker that I put on the door of my office. And I said the same thing. The chamber doesn't return any business. And 2 years later, I got re-engaged in the chamber, and I went down. I said, hey, where is it that I could help out in the chamber? And they're like, well, there's a welcome committee where you could go out to meet new businesses that are coming in and introduce yourself and talk about the benefits to the chamber. And it was a year later that I got on the executive committee, and now I'm sitting with presidents of banks who are our main sponsors. And so the relationships that were deepened by the involvement, it's the labor of the thing that you're in that produces the harvest.
That is correct. If you stand on the side of the field will yield no fruit. You got to get in.
The sticker on the door didn't work.
You got to grab the machinery and you got to get to work. I love that. And it actually leads to one of the other fast tracks to building vendor relationships with it, which is an organization called BNI, Business Networking International. Many of you may have heard of it. I'm a huge advocate. I spent 8 years in the Hartford Business Networking International group. And to this day, I have not been an active member in BNI since 2015. I was in for 8 years, and so I've been out as long. And to this day, the relationships that I built with those vendors are still active and flowing in two directions. I am providing value to them. They are providing value to me. The beauty of a BNI group is that, number one, you could go start one yourself, right? Some of you are saying, I'd love to get in a BNI. Okay, go build one. There's nothing stopping you. You need 25 people to raise their hand and say they do it with you. And now you started it. Guess who's at the center of that wheel? You are. Business Networking International, again, a plug for the organization. Several of our agents on our team are members of BNI groups around the area, and I'm always an advocate. Chris, you're a member of a club too, right? Aren't you the president of a club?
Yeah, the Willimantic Lions Club, which is, internationally, it's the largest service organization on the planet. And when that comes down to how do you engage in service projects in the community where you live, and doing great things and raising money and awareness and volunteerism for great things, and it was a place that I said, man, I got to be here because of my community.
Well, and you're born and raised in Willimantic too, right?
That's right.
So that
I was born in Charleston. Yeah.
That really leads me right into tactic number 3, right? Which is love your community. This is the thing. So now again, you've got tactic number 1 and tactic number 2. Now, tactic number 3 is love your community. So if you wake up every day and you're deepening relationships, you're doing it because you're a part of a club, or you're doing it because you're out there looking for vendors to help provide value to your clients. By the way, all those vendors live somewhere too. And if you show up and provide value to them with referrals, guess where they go when they need to move? They call you. Here's the thing, loving your community is a scaled opportunity. So Chris has decided to become president of the Willimantic Lions Club. One of the things that I did for years is support the West Hartford Little League, because I like Little League, and my son was playing Little League, and I think baseball is great. And there were so many opportunities to show up in our community in a meaningful way, sponsoring those teams and those leagues rely on that money in order to get the t-shirts for the kids and get the bases and the bats and the balls and all the stuff that those kids play with. These are nonprofit volunteer organizations that rely on people like us to show up and support them. Now, here's the thing. Here's how you don't support your community. How much is a Little League sponsorship? $500 a team. Well, if I don't get any deals out of it, it's not worth it. Wrong. That is not how you support your community. You don't show up for deals. You show up because you care. And this is the trick, right? Because why are a lot of real estate agents not doing it? Because they don't have a what, Chris? What do they not have?
They don't have a pipeline.
They don't have a pipeline, so they can't afford to support their community. And they say, my heart tells me yes, but my bank account tells me no, because you have not deepened the relationships with the people who matter the most. But here's the thing. When this wheel gets moving, you've got to have real consciousness around where are you going to spend your money and where are you going to spend your time? Because you can sponsor a Little League team like I did, or you can be a member of the Lions Club. And Chris, I bet there's members of the Lions Club who don't show up to anything. Is that right?
That's correct.
That's correct. Yeah. And there are people who sponsor Little League baseball Little League baseball teams and events, and they don't show up either. But you know what I did? When I sponsored a team, I went to the games. I bought the kids extra t-shirts, right? I made sure that at the end of the season that I brought them out for ice cream, right? I made sure that those kids really had a great season. And it got so cool that the coaches of the other teams would come over and be like, hey, how do we get you to sponsor my team next year? And I'd say, well, the one way to guarantee it is to get my kid on your team, right? Because that was a surefire way that I was sponsoring a team. But engaging your community, and it can be so many ways that you can show up like this. You could be doing this at your kid's school, in the PTA. If your kids are already grown and out, you can 100% go find something that matters to you. One of my good friends has started an organization called Girls Running, and it's all about girls, like young women who are learning to get into running. And it's a nonprofit that just promotes exercise for young women. And she approached, said, how would you want to support it? I said, I got 2 daughters. Of course I want to support that. When are the events? Because I want to show up and not only support it, but I want to be there and I want to see these kids, and I want to make sure that they know that we're here to help, right? Golf tournaments. How about golf tournaments? How many times does somebody call and say, will you sponsor a tee? Here's the answer. The answer is always, I would love to sponsor a tee. When is the event, and where do I show up to meet everybody at the end to make sure that I'm really fully supporting everything that you've got going on, right? Sure, you should do it. But if you do that and expect somebody to call you when they're on the 6th hole after 6 beers, you're missing the point. Support it, show up, and engage. This is, again, the deepening of the relationship. This is how you show up in your community. And you got to pick your community and decide where and how are you going to show up and what are the things that are important to you? So that, again, that can be your schools, that can be little leagues, that can be youth sports, that can be charitable organizations, it can be golf tournaments, anywhere that you can be engaged in the community in a meaningful way to deepen relationships. The crazy thing is that here's the part that's like, that everybody kind of misses, right? That if you show up like this consistently over time, you actually are lead generating without actually even trying. Because the reality is that there are deals today inside of golf tournaments. There are opportunities today inside of little leagues. There are opportunities today inside of a Lions Club. There are opportunities today with vendors who just haven't talked to a real estate agent yet. The difference is that when you're deepening the relationship with intentionality, they're really going to want to talk to you, as opposed to the cold caller who calls with no value and simply says, hey, I heard you might want to sell your home.
One of the other things I was going to say was, when I was in business before the BNI and the Chamber of Commerce, I would just go in the places where I lived and I would call business owners and I would set a meeting with the manager or the owner. And I say, could I meet you for 15 or 20 minutes? And here's why. I want to learn a little bit more about your business. And I want to know, are you interested in gaining more clientele? Is there a way that I can help you to do it? And would you mind, when I sat with you, would you mind if we just shot a quick little, I'm going to take my phone out if you're okay with it. And I just want to interview you. I want to get your website and I want to share it to everybody on my Facebook.
Yeah.
And they would always be like, yeah. And the whole time, I've not asked them for a single piece of business. The whole time they're wondering, how do I help? This guy's amazing. Right. And it wasn't that I was just interested in them.
Now, here's what's so cool about that, Chris. Right now, today, however many people are on this webinar, right now, today, in your town, some new business just opened up in the last 3 months. And like I said, like I promised, I said we were going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but. Today, I told you you'd walk away with multiple things that you could do tomorrow, that you could get engaged in, that were going to help you grow a massive, massive business. Today, there's a business in your town that you haven't gone to yet that just opened sometime in the last 90 days. And Chris Grant just laid some knowledge down. Why aren't you walking in there right after this, going in and saying, hey, I'd love to meet the manager. I'd love to talk to whoever it is that runs this place. I'd love to hear the story of how this place came to be, because I want to let all my clients and friends and family know about it, because we love when businesses succeed. That's what you do when you support your community. By the way, one of my longest standing clients, I met him when he was sitting at a folding table outside of a grocery store with nothing but a nylon sign hanging on the folding table that said, coming soon, Anytime Fitness. And I met him in 2010 because I went over to him and I said, I think I need to go to a gym. And he said, I'm going to be opening one. And we've probably done, between him and the people he's referred, somewhere between 15 and 20 transactions over the last 10 years. And still to this day, I was texting with him yesterday. Again, deepening relationships. There's opportunities everywhere. I love that one, Chris. Very, very good. Go find a business that's new and go in and support them, but do it in a meaningful, intentional way. Okay. So tactic number 4, and we call this one, comes straight out of the 90s, late night TV. For a good time, call ... Here's what you need to be in your town. Once again, you could do this right now, today, tomorrow. It doesn't matter. You need to be the host. This is what people need to understand. If you're sitting around waiting to get invited to a party, you're missing the boat. Your opportunity to go deep in relationships with people. Hey, everybody's got 4 or 5 friends that they need to catch up with. Get them on the phone and say, guess what we're doing? We're going to get coffee tomorrow. Guess what we're doing? We're grabbing a beer after work tomorrow. Guess what we're doing? We're going to go meet up at this super cool business that just opened up because I've been dying to try it. You're going to be the host at the center of it. Texting has created the greatest opportunity in the world to get groups together, because I am the master of the group text. At any moment in time, there's 20 or 30 group texts going on my phone, and they're all talking. But guess who started them? I start them all. I start them all because I'm in the middle. I'm the host. I want everybody to know that I'm engaged. I'm involved. That's how you get people to keep thinking about you. These are super simple. So be the host. So what's one thing? What's a group of people that I went to college up in New Hampshire, but there's a bunch of people around here in Connecticut. And you know what? Every couple of months we go out to dinner together. Every once in a while, we all get together for a happy hour. How are you engaging with the people that you care about in a regular way, consistently, over time, so that they always know you're at the center of the wheel? You're the person. And guess what? We're not talking about real estate, guys. I'm not showing up and saying, hey, I'd love to go to coffee with you to hear what your real estate related plans are this year. No, that's not what you're doing. You're just going and making friends, and maybe you might pick up the coffee just because you might be sly like that, but you don't have to. You're just going and deepening your relationships. And guess what? You never have to bring it up. When you sit down with your 4 buddies from college and everybody goes, hey, what's going on? Hey, did you see that game last weekend? Eventually, somebody's going to say, hey, what's going on in the real estate market? Eventually, they're always going to ask. You never have to bring it up. And you just say, that's interesting. Why do you ask? You think about selling? Because I can help you with that. You never, ever have to push it. So be the host. So what's something that where can you be the host? You can do games, you can do concerts, you can get people together for anything. You can go tag selling or garage selling together. Whatever it is garage selling a thing? Is that a thing? It sounds like they call it tag selling. Yeah, I was like, I'm picturing a garage on the open ocean with a big sale on it. Yeah. You can do any of those things with people that have like-minded interests with you, or even just a common history. So number 4, for a good time, call Matt, because I'm the host. I want to be at the center of it all, and I want to be hanging out with everybody. What do you think, Chris?
About that too, Matt, one of the other things too is your towns, every town, every community has a Facebook page. I know Willimantic does. I know Hebron does. You can go on there and find Facebook is brilliant for everything. It will tell you upcoming events. It'll say, hey, this is happening on the town where there's a car show. So pick 1 or 2 and just get on a video and say, hey, I don't know if you all heard about this, but there's this event that's coming up. It's good for our community. Hopefully I'm going to be there with my kids. I'd love to see you guys there. And just give them a little background or history on it.
Yeah, and those of you that have kids, the greatest thing ever is to go to an event with someone else who has kids so the kids can play and you can hang out with the other person. Right. So whether that's the Glastonbury Apple Pie Fest or, somewhere down in the shore, some lobster eating contest or whatever, every town's got that stuff. And your job is deepening and making friends, but you have to have intentionality. Right. So if you were to take these things and do one of them every week, if you were showing up at a club every week, and you were showing up in your community every week, and you were talking to a new business owner every week, this becomes lead generation just organically. And it's super fun, way more fun than pounding the phones for 3 hours a day, way more fun. And to your point about Facebook, Chris, it brings us right to topic number 5, tactic number 5, which is start a niche community. Now, the niche community is brilliant. Chris, you're doing something tomorrow, aren't you?
Yes.
What are you doing tomorrow? What's that all about? Tell us about that.
Yeah. Dads in Business, we are doing a all-day workshop, and the group is Dads in Business, started by Brian Waddell, whose mom is Maria Waddell, who used to be a Keller Williams agent, is now hung her license up, and he's actually sent me some clients because we've just stayed in touch, and he likes hiking, I like hiking, and then he started this community called Dads in Business, and we had a kickoff meeting and what it would be all about, and so it's grown into now we're going to do an all-day workshop on Dads in Business, kind of around a bunch of different things, and there's some different presenters. So yeah, it's exciting. I can't.
But you're actually presenting at an all-day event created by a guy who started a Facebook page called Dads in Business. I am also a member. So is Bennett Forrest, who's also on our team. And Dads in Business has hundreds of members. It's a niche community. And the point is simply that whatever it is that you do, if you go all in and show up as somebody that provides a lot of value, you never have to ask for business ever again. So when Brian created Dads in Business, which is a brilliant niche community, a bunch of people looked at themselves and said, I'm a dad, I'm in business, I wonder if I should be part of that group. And then you just are in the group, and now you're in there, and now there's an opportunity, and boy, it blossomed into something pretty tremendous. So what are some other things we have? You can create moms groups, you can create dads groups, you can create community groups, you can create hobby groups. You can listen, if you're one of those people that loves going out and refinishing furniture, you know those people that do that, like, hey, I love to go tag sale, get some old beat up dresser and bring it home, sand it down and paint it. Well, there's people out there that love doing that. You should start a group. That should be your group. You should be the group of people that like old dressers and making them pretty group, whatever that is. Doesn't matter. The point is be at the center of it and go start a niche group, because when you start it, you show up authentic because it's something you love. You also show up as a leader and an authority. And that's really valuable to people. And you're building relationships. So once again, can you do this today? Facebook has no waiting period. You could start a niche group right now. And here's the thing. If you go start a niche group and nobody joins, it's okay. Start another one. Just keep going till you find one. Don't get hung up in the complexity of it. Just keep going till you find one. I've seen people do this with tremendous success. And I think it's wonderful, especially if you're a person that spends a lot of time on social media. Right? Because some of us spend too much time on social media because that thing is designed to track us in. Well, if you had a little way to create business out of it and create an opportunity around it and be intentional about inviting people into it, now all of a sudden you're turning something that's a distraction, that's fun, into something that can also serve your business. So that was topic number 5. Lastly, our last tactic. You ask yourself, what do I love to do? What is it that I love? And you have to go find other leaders in other places that love the same thing. So Chris, let's talk about Open Doors Outdoors and our friend Davey. What goes on with Open Doors Outdoors? Tell us about the organization and tell us about your involvement, and let's talk about what he's been able to build.
So Open Doors Outdoors is a nonprofit organization that takes veterans, their families, and young adults, young children, and now even autistic kids out into the environment for hiking, reconnection, healthy activities, and healing. You know, people that have had PTSD. And I remember when it was created about 4 years ago, and today they have vehicles, they have all-terrain vehicles, they have boats, and they have done so many great things in the world of veterans who kind of lost their way and their families. And it's a great involvement. So he does running races, multi-distance races every year, a couple times a year. He takes people out into the mountains and does hiking, all things that I love to do. And I love Davey. And I said, man, how can I be part of it? And so I've just become somebody who promotes what he does.
You're like you're a little bit like the mascot. It's awesome, right? You are affiliated. We have sponsored that organization several years, over and over again, because it's near and dear to us, and we like them. Here's the thing. Once again, we don't need to invent the authenticity or the clarity or our commitment to that organization, because it matters tremendously to us. It's something that's out in the world that we care deeply about, and it's really easy to go support people like that. So your 6th tactic is, what do you love? One of my good friends, Vanessa Pollock, always says, what breaks your heart? Find the thing that breaks your heart. And when you know what that is, go find other people that share that and help them figure out how to solve it. And when you show up in caring like that, and in the full authenticity and giving mode of, I'm here to support you, you'll never have to ask for business ever again. Which goes back to our very opening statement, Chris, which is, do we think that if we set out tomorrow and we employed these 6 tactics, number 1, we're going to go join a club, we're going to play softball, right? No, we're going to just find something we love and we're going to join. We're going to sign up. We're not going to wait. We're not going to think about it. We're not going to worry if the registration fee is $50 or $70 or $300 because we love to do it. We're going to go do that. Number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that we get to know vendors in our community that provide awesome value. And we're going to do that by talking to our friends and family and people we know. We're going to go out and we're going to do call me if you need a plumber. That's tactic number two. Tactic number three, right? We're going to love on our community. We're going to make sure that those organizations that are in our community, the community that we serve, know that we care, whether that's a little league or a PTA or whatever it is. We're going to go find those groups and we're going to make sure that they know that we're part of solving. By the way, if you have no money and you're worried about money and you feel like sponsorships are too much, volunteer, give your time, show up. Because at the end of the day, that's how you make friends anyway. You're going to go do that. And then for a good time call, you're going to host something. You're going to invite some people out. You're going to make sure that you're intentionally getting together with people consistently, even if all that is starting a group chat and saying, hey, I just remembered a funny story from back when we were in college. Do you guys remember when blah, 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 blah? Get that stuff going. Get that rolling. You could start a niche community, something that you're awesome at, something that you love, something that you really enjoy spending time with, and start finding other people that share that common interest. Spend all day, every day doing it. And then lastly, you find other people who love what you love and care for the things that you care for, and you support them and you go all in on making sure that their vision for their outcome comes true. And they know that you are one of their fiercest, most loyal advocates. Is there any way that if you did that, that if you made that the cornerstone of your business, do you think you'd have to pick up the phone and cold call a lot?
No.
No.
You know, while you're saying that, just when Davey's dad sold his house, he called me. It was the first call. He goes, do you think you could help my dad? He was moving down to Florida. We sold his dad's house. And just recently, he says, Open Doors Outdoors is looking for some space up in Vermont. And he called us first. And I called you. And we connected with him. And so that when you're...
Did you ever ask Davey for business?
Never.
Not one single time. How about that? How about that? It's almost like we know what we're talking about. With that, I just want to leave it with this, and I want to say thank you for everybody who hung in there. Thank you for all of you. Listen, we understand. I'm not trying to oversimplify it. We understand that when you're getting started in this business, you do have to pick up the phone and you do have to get to work. All I'm saying is that if you get to work at the right things that serve your heart and serve your soul, and you do it with intention, and you stop waiting on the sidelines and get out into life and play all in and play hard. There are so many people out there that are dying to talk to you, that would love to talk to you, and they would love to have you on their softball team. So everybody go make it happen. Thank you for those who joined us. Chris, thanks for your commentary and your assistance on this today. Really appreciate it. Appreciate everybody. And I hope everybody has an awesome day.
See you later, man. See you,
Take
Derek.
care.